Good morning. Shelley Kuipers, founder and CEO of Crowdsourcing, and I've got my teammate Mike here with me too, which is awesome because I'm usually by myself on the road, so I'm really excited that Mike's here with me. We're a little bit different than a couple of the other stories you heard this morning, Tongle and Top Coder. What we do is we build communities for our customers. So, for example, we would power an HTC community of their global fans, and we'll walk you through that example. We build brand and product innovation communities for our customers globally. We're a small company, 31 people in Calgary, Canada. You probably can tell by my accent. We're quiet and reserved like the Danish are that you heard earlier this morning. We're fortunate to work with Lego, which is awesome. So we're based in Calgary. We have an office in London, and we're looking to open up an office in New York, either later this year or early next year. And Mike is our VP of Product Innovation. So Mike has the great experience of working quite closely with all of our customers on the implementation and the rollout and the ongoing management of these communities that we do for our customers. Today, the number of participants across all of our customer communities exceeds 500,000 participants. So while we're small, we're growing quickly. We do 15 languages, or maybe we do 15 because I'm in sales and Mike is in product, but we'll find out a little bit more about that. So one of the things that Carl wanted us to do today, and we've been hanging out with Carl for some time because we've been doing this for some time, so starting back in 2006, was to highlight some of the areas that we're seeing in the marketplace around what business problems are our customers coming to us about? What are they trying to solve? What are they trying to do? So what we did was we kind of surveyed all of our customers and took a look and said, we think that typically we're working in these 4 different areas. And what we've also done here today is we're going to walk you through some examples that kind of bring these use cases to life. So as you can kind of see going from left to right, something is as grand as product innovation, which is what you heard from Lego this morning, all the way through to brand activation. So how do you use your fans globally to either bring more awareness to your product or even activate these new products in the market? Team insights, another really cool area. It's a little bit more conservative, but we're working with organizations globally where they're trying to have access to their employees for different purposes. It could be a rebranding process. It could be how do we define our culture as an organization and democratizing that participation in that process. So it's no longer in the boardroom with the executives saying, hey, this is what our culture is, and everyone will adhere to it. And then finally, the whole area of social innovation. So how do you take, social-driven organizations and commercial organizations, bring them together to solve big problems globally? So the first example that we'll take you through is product innovation and our customer Omni. They actually approached us. It was quite interesting. Their team was actually participating in another one of our client communities, loved the experience so much, they called us up and said, we have to do this for our customers. So what we did was we worked with them to build out a community of 500 of their most valuable customers across all of their properties. They were handpicked. So each of the property managers said, I want these 5 people in the community. So we onboarded these participants, and we're running an ongoing community with them to drive insights for kind of guest experience and property experience. And I'll get Mike to do some more details.
Yeah, so the product innovation that we're running with Omni is in contrast to the product innovation that Trolls is doing with Cuso, where the crowd at Cuso is actually submitting solutions to the problems. They're submitting product ideas, but what we're doing here is we're sort of taking a step back from that, and we're looking for a clear understanding of the problems that Omni customers are facing. So we have a sequence of activities that we run this crowd through, and one of those activities is actually a hotel builder. So I'm sure everybody here has had a bad experience at a hotel sometime, but by a show of hands, how many of you could build a hotel that's better? Oh, we have 2. Great. So we're going to get you guys in contact with Omni right away. And, but so they'll actually go through the process of building a hotel, and they'll pick the features that are most important to them inside of a $25 million budget. And so what we're able to see there is specifically exactly how much a feature is worth to each of the members of that crowd. So we get a really clear articulation of that problem, because really who's more qualified to articulate a problem with a hotel than the customers of that hotel.
Our next example here is HTC. I referred to it earlier. Mike is actually, I think he has an HTC phone. He's in the community. He is one of the global fans. We got a golden ticket because we power the community, so Mike isn't on the waiting list. HTC came to us, and we actually transitioned their community from another platform provider to us. And one of the key reasons was they wanted the platform to be responsive. So our platform works, tablet, mobile, web, and the majority of the interactions that they're having with these participants is through their mobile. So we needed to give them a really strong mobile experience. Over the course of launching this community, it was in Q1 of this year, we're more than 5,000 participants. You can see that the participant group is quite broad. The number of countries that are represented inside of this community is huge. And you can also see that the participation levels and the contribution levels are outstanding. There's one other thing that I'd like to mention about our platform. I mean, ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to identify the most valuable contributors and their most valuable forms of contribution. And through our platform, through the moderation that we provide, through what the crowd is thinking of these participants and contributions, kind of the best rise to the top. And then the business is able to action or act upon that.
Yeah, this is a really interesting community. It's highly active. This crowd is very motivated to participate with HTC, but one of the things that we are keen to do with this community and also for LEGO's internal employee community is to make sure that we're recognizing and rewarding various types of participation. So it's not just the loudest members of the crowd, the ones that are even submitting ideas, but it's also those people that are collaborating with others and really keeping the community moving by different types of contributions.
Anything else?
Yeah, no, that's good.
Here's a little bit more of a conservative example. We were brought into Centrica, which is a global energy company, 40,000 employees, and they were going through kind of a re-look at, how did they define their culture and their core values as an organization, and how could they, properly position a purpose inside of their employee group. And again, as I mentioned earlier, instead of that being formulated in the boardroom with the executives in a very private, exclusive moment, Centrica decided to democratize the process of asking all of their employees to participate. We did kind of limit it at the very beginning by the number of participants, but the full company was invited to come in and contribute. And through a series of activities that we asked the crowd to do, they were able to formulate, what does our employee group think about our core values and our culture and our purpose? And they were able to contrast that with their executive team. So side by side, we were able to run executive team activities, employee-based activities across your entire organization.
One of the interesting things with the Centrica community is that it's about how we ask the crowd the questions. So we could ask them to tell us a story or, put out some unstructured text that'll tell them what it's like to work at Centrica. But what happens is a human will calculate a response to that, and it's not always going to be something that's natural and organic. So one of the activities that we ran with the Centrica community was to have them actually choose a photo we've integrated with Flickr so that they could choose a photo to describe what it's like to work at Centrica. And then what we do is we're recording the search terms and everything else that we're using. And what that gets us is closer to the real emotional response that somebody has about working at Centrica.
Exactly. And that brings up a good point. One of the activities that we did with Centrica was that we asked all the employees, if you could go work at a different company for a year, where would you go work? And then what would you bring back to your company after that year of work? And again, it's asking the question in a different way. Because you could say, hey, what's the best thing about working at Centrica? and you might not get the real insight that's actionable for your business. So we have about 35 different activities in our toolkit that we formulate together to perform a program inside of a community to get the insights, in this case for their brand. Here's another great example on the social innovation side. USAID had partnered with other charitable organizations or aid organizations globally, as well as MTV. So it's a really good example of a commercial organization and a social-based organization coming together to solve a problem. We launched this challenge on our Grand Challenges platform. And what USAID and MTV were looking for was technological ideas on how to reduce human trafficking. So what were some of the ideas that we could get from the crowd? This was across a group of universities in the US. Teams were formed, mobile application concepts were submitted, and ultimately these applications were funded by USAID. So the top ones, based on what the crowd thought and what the expert panel thought, got funding for implementation.
Yeah, this was a very cool program. This was in direct response to President Obama's call to find new and innovative ways of combating trafficking in persons. So as Shelley said, this was one that we ran with a collection of university students, and the winning submission in this challenge was it was a plugin for your browser which would actually read your Amazon shopping cart, and it would give you a letter grade for each of the products that you had in your shopping cart about how much of an impact that it had on organizations that may be using slavery to produce some of the materials that might go into the production of that product. So it was very much about raising awareness about what products you might be buying, unbeknownst to you, that might be encouraging slavery in some other part of the world. I was meeting with USAID earlier this week, and we've really seen a shift. I want to go back to a point that Mark had made earlier about enterprises being very risk averse, and how this sort of work is something that it's sometimes tough to get larger enterprises into. And there's really been a shift. Who's more risk averse enterprise in the U.S. government, and but they're really trying to push for openness and transparency with their constituents in these challenges that we're running with them.
So just a quick wrap up. Just wanted to leave this with you, and I think what we'd like to do is probably just field some questions and have a bit of a discussion, if possible. Is there any questions? Mike's really good at answering them.
Thanks very much. You mentioned the HTC crowd, and that was in some way curated, collected, organized by the company. Is there a risk in some of this of becoming self-referential?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. What they're looking for in that community is they want a good representation of, they have 7 key customer segments that they're looking for in their audience. So basically what they're looking for is they want to make sure that HTC Elevate includes participants that are going to represent each of those 7 key segments the best. So it's interesting. It is a little bit self-referential in terms that it is still like it is their target demographic, and so if they haven't identified those segments correctly, I suppose what could happen is that crowd is not necessarily going to give them the insights that might be as valuable, except that is what their marketing team has identified as their target audience. So
great, thank you.
Thank you.